"Get out of my house, you witch!" The sound of my husband's voice, thick with rage I'd never heard before, stopped my heart before it shattered it. I stood frozen in the doorway of our Ikoyi sitting room, the serving tray trembling in my hands as I watched Chidi tower over his own mother, Mama Nkechi, who sat crumpled on our Italian leather sofa like a discarded cloth. What would you do if your husband said this to you? Hit like if you've ever felt betrayed, and comment where you're watching from. My in-laws, the Okonkwo's, sat across from us in their designer Agbada, an expensive gale, their faces twisted in satisfaction rather than shock. This was Thanksgiving dinner. The turkey I'd spent 2 days preparing sat cooling on the dining table behind me, forgotten. The cranberry sauce I'd made from scratch, because Chidi's mother had taught me the recipe, was probably congealing in its crystal bowl. "Chidi, what's happening?" I managed to whisper, but he didn't even look at me. His mother's face was wet with tears, her simple Ankara wrapper, the one she'd sewn herself for this special dinner, now wrinkled from how she'd clutched it. "My son," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I only said the jollof rice was too salty. I was trying to help Adai's." "Help?" Chidi's laugh was cruel, foreign. In our 8 years of marriage, I'd never heard him speak to anyone like this, least of all the woman who'd raised him alone after his father died. "You come to my house, embarrass my wife in front of my in-laws, and call it help?" I wanted to scream that I wasn't embarrassed, that Mama Nkechi had whispered her comment quietly to me in the kitchen, that she'd been gentle and kind as always. But my throat had closed up. Mrs. Okonkwo, my mother, leaned forward, her gold jewelry catching the chandelier light. "Chidi is right, Ma." She addressed Mama Nkechi with false respect, her Lekki accent dripping with condescension. "In modern marriages, mothers-in-law must know their place. You village women always want to control everything." Village women. My blood went cold. Mama Nkechi lived in Surulere, not a village. She was a retired school teacher who'd put Chidi through university by selling provisions and tutoring children after school. She wore simple clothes because she was humble, not poor. She'd welcomed me into her family with open arms when my own parents had hesitated. Chidi was from Anambra, we were Yoruba, and my father had wanted me to marry within our tribe. "Chidi, please," I finally found my voice. "Your mother didn't mean—" "Stay out of this, Adizi." His eyes, when they finally found mine, were cold. Stranger's eyes. "You're always defending her. Maybe that's why you can't seem to please me anymore." The room went silent. Even my father stopped swirling his brandy. Can't please him. We made love 3 times last week. He'd told me I was beautiful just this morning. He'd kissed my forehead while I stuffed the turkey and said I was the perfect wife. Unless, my mother's smile widened and something clicked into place. She'd been pushing me to improve myself for months now. Lose weight, dress better, be more sophisticated. "A woman must keep her husband interested," she'd say during her weekly visits. While eyeing our home, the home Chidi's construction business had paid for, with barely concealed greed. Chidi moved toward his mother, and I saw his hand rise. Time slowed. Mama Nkechi's eyes widened in disbelief, and I screamed, actually screamed. But I was too far away. The slap echoed through our high-ceilinged sitting room like a gunshot. Mama Nkechi's head snapped to the side. Blood appeared at the corner of her mouth where her tooth had cut her lip. She didn't cry out. She didn't move. She just sat there, one hand slowly rising to touch her face, staring at her son like she was seeing a ghost. "That's for disrespecting my wife and my marriage," Chidi said, his voice shaking now. With what? Guilt? Anger? I couldn't tell anymore. My father stood abruptly. Now. Let's all calm down. It's Thanksgiving." "Chidi, you've made your point. Perhaps your mother should go home and everyone can cool down." Go home? He just struck his elderly mother in her face, and my father wanted to continue dinner? I dropped the tray. Crystal shattered against our marble floor, the sound jarring everyone to attention. I ran to Mama Nkechi, fell to my knees beside her, took her hands in mine. They were cold and shaking. "Mama, I'm so sorry," I sobbed. "Please, I'm so sorry." She looked at me then, and the pity in her eyes broke something in me. She pitied me. This woman who'd just been assaulted by her own son felt sorry for me. Ada, my daughter, she whispered, using the nickname she'd given me on my wedding day. Your marriage is not what you think it is. What does that mean? But Chidi grabbed my arm, yanking me away from her. I said, stay out of this. Don't touch me. I'd never raised my voice to him before. Never. But seeing his mother's blood, feeling his fingers dig into my arm, something primal rose in me. Have you gone mad? This is your mother. A mother who refuses to accept that I've moved up in the world. He released me, straightening his designer caftan, the one my parents had bought him last month. I'm not that poor boy from Surulere anymore. I have standards now, expectations. Standards? Mama Nkechi stood slowly, with dignity that made her seem taller than everyone in the room. I raised you to have character, not standards. There is a difference. She walked toward the door, each step measured and proud, despite the tears still streaming down her face. At the threshold, she turned back to me, ignoring everyone else. Adaeze, when you find out the truth, and you will, remember that you are stronger than you know. Remember what I taught you about making the perfect pepper soup. It must simmer slowly to bring out the flavor. Some things cannot be rushed. I didn't understand then. I wish I had. After she left, my mother clapped her hands once, breaking the horrible silence. Well, now that unpleasantness is over, shall we eat? The turkey smells divine, Adaeze. You've really outdone yourself. I stared at her. At all of them. My father nodding in agreement. My younger brother Tunde scrolling on his phone like nothing had happened. Chidi's face already relaxing, the rage draining away as if he hadn't just committed an unforgivable act. No, I said quietly. No? My mother's perfect smile faltered. No, get out of my house. Chidi's head snapped toward me. Excuse me? You heard me, all of you, get out. Adaeze, my father started, but I cut him off. I said, get out! The scream tore from somewhere deep inside me, somewhere I didn't know existed. You sat here and watched him hit his mother. His mother! And you want to eat turkey? You're being hysterical, my mother said coolly. Chidi was right to discipline that woman. She was undermining you. Her name is Mama Nkechi, and she's been more of a mother to me than you have in years. The truth hung in the air like smoke. My mother's face hardened into something ugly, something I'd seen glimpses of throughout my childhood, but had always explained away. Fine, she said, standing and gathering her purse. Come, dear, she told my father. Let's leave our daughter to her tantrum. Tunde, come. They filed out like offended guests. Not family. Only Chidi remained, staring at me with something like confusion. Baby, he said softly, reaching for me. You're upset. I understand. But my mother. Don't. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Don't explain. I need you to leave too. This is my house. Our house, and right now I can't look at you. Something flickered across his face. Fear? No, not fear. Calculation. Adaeze, you're making a big mistake. You don't want to do this. A mistake? You just beat your mother at Thanksgiving dinner. What kind of man does that? A man who's trying to build something. His voice rose again. A man who's finally earning respect, making money, moving in the right circles. Your parents understand that. Why can't you? My parents, ice flooded my veins. What do my parents have to do with anything? He closed his mouth quickly, but it was too late. I'd seen it. The slip, the reveal. Something was happening here. Something bigger than a ruined dinner. Something that made my mother smile while an old woman bled. Get out, Chidi, now. He stared at me for a long moment, and I saw him make a decision. I'll go to the hotel, but Adaeze, when you calm down, we're going to talk about this behavior. I won't tolerate disrespect in my marriage. His marriage, not our marriage. His. After he left, I sank onto the sofa where Mama Nkechi had sat. There was a small spot of blood on the white leather. I touched it with one finger, and the dam broke. I sobbed until my ribs ached, until no more tears would come, until the turkey was completely cold and the candles had burned down to nothing. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I'm sorry you had to see that. But now you know what he's capable of. We need to talk. M. M? Who was M? As I stared at the message, another one came through, this time from Chidi's phone, or so I thought until I looked closer. The number was slightly different. Someone had texted from a phone they wanted me to think was Chidi's. Happy Thanksgiving, baby. Tonight was hard but necessary. Your parents are right. We need to present the right image. Love you. P.S. Picked up your jewelry from the repair shop. The diamonds look perfect now. My jewelry? I hadn't sent anything for repair. And I didn't own any diamonds. Chidi had promised to buy me a diamond necklace for our 10th anniversary. Still 2 years away. With shaking hands, I opened Chidi's real phone number in my contacts and compared them. Different. Someone was texting me, pretending to be my husband. Unless Chidi had 2 phones. I ran to our bedroom, to his closet where he kept his work briefcase. I'd never snooped before. Never had reason to. But Mama Nkechi's words echoed in my mind. Your marriage is not what you think it is. The briefcase was locked, but I knew where he kept the key. Inside his favorite book, Things Fall Apart, the irony not lost on me now. My hands trembled as I opened the case. Inside was a second phone, an iPhone with a rose gold case, women's style, and underneath it, a stack of receipts. Hotel receipts, jewelry store receipts, restaurant receipts for places we'd never been together, and photos. God, the photos. Chidi with a woman I didn't recognize, her head thrown back in laughter. Chidi kissing someone in what looked like a hotel room. Chidi with his hand on a pregnant belly that wasn't mine. We'd been trying for a baby for 3 years with no success. The room spun. I sat hard on our bed, the bed where I'd given myself to this man, trusted him, loved him, planned a future with him, and I couldn't breathe. The second phone lit up with a message. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. Baby, that performance was Oscar-worthy. Your wife actually believed you were defending her honor. My parents loved it. They're ready to invest in your new company. We should celebrate. Come to the apartment when you're done playing house. And don't forget, 6 more months and we can stop pretending. I'll finally be Mrs. Okonkwo, the real Mrs. Okonkwo. The message was from someone named Kioma, and suddenly, horribly, everything made sense. Please like, subscribe, because my mom says I can't reach 1,000 subscribers. Let's prove her wrong, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. I sat on my bedroom floor until dawn, surrounded by evidence of my husband's betrayal, my mind replaying every moment of the past 6 months like a horror film I couldn't pause. The phone, Shioma's phone, buzzed incessantly through the night. I read every message, each one a knife twisting deeper. Your mother-in-law had it coming. Old women need to learn their place. Did you see Adazi's face? Priceless. She really thinks you love her. My dad's lawyer called. Once you're divorced, the company shares transfer to us like we planned. Your construction business will finally reach its potential with our family's connections. Divorced, company shares, planned. This wasn't a simple affair. This was a calculated demolition of my life. As sunrise painted our bedroom orange and gold, I heard Chidi's key in the front door. I'd been waiting, my back against the wall, his briefcase and both phones beside me like evidence in a courtroom. He walked in whistling, actually whistling, smelling of expensive perfume and sex. When he saw me sitting there, his face went through a fascinating transformation. Surprise, then calculation, then something like annoyance. Baby, what are you doing on the floor? Did you sleep here? His voice was honey-sweet, concerned husband. If I hadn't read those messages, I might have believed it. I held up the rose gold phone. The color drained from his face. Sit down, Chidi, I said quietly. My voice sounded strange, flat, like all the emotion had been wrung out. We need to talk. Adaze, that's not... I can explain. Sit down. He sat on the edge of our bed, and for the first time since I'd known him, Chidi looked afraid. Good, he should be. How long? I asked. Baby, you don't understand. How long? He ran his hands over his face. When he looked up, the mask was gone. I was staring at a stranger wearing my husband's face. 2 years. 2 years. I'd spent 2 years loving a man who was planning to discard me. 2 years trying to get pregnant with a man who was already expecting a child with someone else. 2 years of family dinners and date nights and whispered promises, all lies. Who is she? Does it matter? It matters to me. He laughed, bitter and cold. Kioma Okonkwo, your cousin. The world tilted. What? Your cousin? Your mother's sister's daughter. The one who lives in Banana Island. I remembered her vaguely from family gatherings. A beautiful, sharp-eyed woman 10 years younger than me who worked in banking. We'd never been close. My mother always compared us, holding her up as everything I should be. Ambitious, connected, sophisticated. My mother knows? His silence was answer enough. My mother knows, I repeated, and this time it wasn't a question. That's why she's been visiting more. Why she keeps telling me to lose weight, dress better, be more interesting. She's been preparing everyone for when you leave me. Your family understands business, Adiz. This isn't personal. Not personal? I stood so fast the phones clattered across the floor. You're leaving me for my cousin, stealing my life. And it's not personal? It's just how things work at this level. He stood too, defensive now. You think I can build an empire with a wife who's content running a small catering business? Kioma's family has connections to every major contractor in Lagos. Her father sits on 3 corporate boards. With her you can what? Become the man you've always wanted to be? I laughed and it sounded like breaking glass. You were already that man, Chidi. I loved you when you had nothing. I supported your business with my catering money when banks wouldn't give you loans. I stood by you when your first projects failed. And I'm grateful. Grateful? I picked up his briefcase and threw it at him. It hit his chest and fell open, scattering more evidence. Bank statements showing an account I didn't know about. Documents for a company registration listing him and Kioma as partners. A lease agreement for a luxury apartment in Victoria Island. You beat your mother yesterday, I said softly. The woman who sacrificed everything for you. You hit her in the face, made her bleed, and you did it to impress my family, to prove you'd chosen their side. I had to show them I was serious. About what? About being a monster? About being successful? He kicked the briefcase away. You want to know the truth? Your parents approached me 6 months ago, said if I divorced you and married Kioma, they'd give me everything I needed to expand my business. Connections, contracts, investments. All I had to do was make the transition smooth. Make you look unstable so the divorce would be easy. Make me look unstable? The weight comments, the criticism about your cooking, your business, that was all planned. Make you insecure. Make you doubt yourself. Then when I file for divorce, everyone will understand. Poor Chidi, they'll say. His wife let herself go. Became difficult. He deserves better. I couldn't speak. Couldn't process. This was worse than infidelity. This was premeditated destruction. And yesterday, I whispered, hitting your mother? That was Kioma's idea, actually. She said I needed to show your parents I'd cut all ties to my lower-class roots. Mama would forgive me eventually. Mothers always do. But your father was impressed. He called this morning, said he's ready to move forward with the contracts. You sold your soul for contracts. I sold nothing. I invested in my future. Our future was going nowhere, Adice. You're a good woman, but you're not built for the life I want. The life you want, or the life my parents dangled in front of you? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. My phone rang. Mama Nkechi's number. I answered on speaker, my eyes never leaving Chidi's face. Ada, my daughter, I'm at the hospital. Her voice was thick, painful. Hospital? Mama, what? My jaw is broken. The doctor says I'll need surgery, but that's not why I'm calling. She paused and I heard her take a shaky breath. I'm calling because I went to your house this morning. You weren't there, but I found something. Papers hidden under the sofa where I was sitting yesterday. I think they fell out when Chidi pushed me. Chidi's face went white. What papers, Mama? Divorce papers, already filled out, and a document that looks like a business agreement. Ada, your name isn't on it, but your house is. Your catering company is. Everything you built, he's signing it away as part of some deal. I looked at Chidi, and he looked at the floor. There's something else, Mama and Nkechi continued. A letter from a doctor. Chidi has been getting fertility treatments. For himself, the letter says his sperm count is now normal after the treatment. Ada, all those years you thought you couldn't conceive. The room spun. It was him? He made me think I was broken? The timeline matches. He started treatment 6 months before you began trying. My daughter, he let you suffer. Let you cry every month when your period came. Let you spend money on tests and consultations, all while knowing I couldn't hear the rest. The roaring in my ears was too loud. You made me think I was infertile? My voice came out strangled. For 3 years, I blamed myself. I prayed. I cried. I went to specialists. My mother told me I was cursed. And you knew? Baby, I needed to be sure the problem was you before I slapped him. Hard. The sound echoed like his slap to his mother, and I felt no regret. Get out of my house. This is my house too. Not according to those papers your mother found. You were going to steal everything from me, Chidi. My home, my business, my dignity. Well, congratulations. You've shown me exactly who you are. What are you going to do? For the first time, he looked worried. I smiled, and even I could feel how cold it was. Remember what your mother taught me? Pepper soup must simmer slowly to bring out the flavor. Some things cannot be rushed. I'm going to let this simmer, Chidi. And when I'm done, you're going to wish you'd stayed the poor, honest man I married. You can't do anything to me. Your own family's on my side. We'll see about that. I called the police while he stood there, reported the assault on Mama Nkechi, showed them photos of her broken jaw, told them about the evidence of financial fraud. They came within 20 minutes. I'd gone to university with the female sergeant, and she'd always admired my strength in starting my own business. Watching Chidi led away in handcuffs should have felt satisfying. Instead, I felt empty. This man I'd loved, built a life with, trusted completely, he was a stranger. He'd always been a stranger. My phone rang again. My mother. Adeze, what have you done? Chidi just called me from the police station. Do you know what this will do to our family's reputation? Do I know? Do I know? I laughed, slightly hysterical. Mother, you helped plan this. You tried to destroy your own daughter for business connections. Don't be dramatic. This is how the world works. Kioma is better suited for Chidi's new life. You would have held him back. We were doing you a favor. Eventually, you'd find someone on your level. My level? I built my catering business from nothing. I supported your lavish lifestyle when Daddy's business was failing 3 years ago. I've been nothing but loyal to this family. Loyalty doesn't pay bills, dear. Kioma's dowry alone will settle our debts, and then some. Be reasonable. Sign the divorce papers, take the settlement we're offering, and move on quietly. If you cooperate, we'll make sure you're taken care of. Taken care of? I felt something break free inside me. Not heartbreak this time, but rage. Pure, crystalline rage. You sold your daughter like livestock, and you think I should be grateful for table scraps? You're being hysterical. No, Mother, I'm being clear-sighted for the first time in years. And here's what's going to happen. I'm going to fight, not just for my marriage. That's dead, but for everything that's mine. My house, my business, my dignity. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what you all did. You wouldn't dare. The scandal would ruin you. Good. I hung up. The next call was to my lawyer, a brilliant woman named Zainab who'd helped me set up my catering business. She answered on the first ring. Zainab, I need you to freeze all joint accounts and file an injunction preventing the sale or transfer of any marital property. And I need you to do it today. Adaiz, what's happened? I told her everything. When I finished, there was a long silence. This is worse than most cases I've seen. But Adaiz, you need to prepare yourself. This is going to get ugly. Your own family will fight against you. Let them fight. I'm done being the good daughter, the perfect wife, the understanding woman. They wanted war? They've got it. Okay, give me 2 hours. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. Don't let anyone in your house. And Adaiz? Yes? Document everything. Photos, messages, medical records, bank statements, everything. We're going to need it all. After we hung up, I sat in my violated home and made a list. Not of what I'd lost, but of what I had. Evidence of infidelity, proof of financial fraud, documentation of assault, witnesses, and most importantly, the truth. My phone buzzed. A message from that unknown number again. M. I know you're hurting. I know you feel alone, but you're not. There are others. Chidi isn't the only man in your family circle doing this. We need to talk. Tomorrow, Java House in Ikoyi, 2 p.m. Come alone. Myself and Chidinma. Chidinma? I knew that name. She was married to my uncle's business partner, a quiet woman I'd met at a few family events. What did she have to do with this? I responded, "How do I know this isn't a trap?" The reply came immediately. "Because I was you 3 years ago, and I survived. We all did. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. You'll understand everything." I saved the number under M&C and looked around my house. 24 hours ago, I'd been preparing Thanksgiving dinner, worried about impressing my in-laws, trying to be the perfect wife. Now I was planning revenge. Mama Nikichi called again. "Ada, the surgery is scheduled for next week, but I need to tell you something else. When I was at your house, I found more papers, hidden in your guest room closet, behind the suitcases. Financial statements showing Chidi has been embezzling from your catering business. He's been using your company registration to secure loans and putting the money into accounts you don't have access to. You're liable for those debts, my daughter." Embezzlement. On top of everything else, embezzlement. How much? 12 million naira. Maybe more. The papers weren't complete. 12 million naira. That was my entire business, my savings, my future. Stolen by the man who'd promised to protect me. "Mama, I'm going to fix this. All of it. I promise." "I know you will. You're stronger than you know. Just like your pepper soup. Remember? Let it simmer. The flavor comes with patience." After she hung up, I walked through my house, seeing it with new eyes. Every piece of furniture, every decoration, every choice, I'd made them all trying to please everyone but myself, trying to be the daughter my parents wanted, the wife Chidi needed, the woman society expected. No more. I pulled out my laptop and started a new document. At the top, I typed, "The complete and total destruction of Chidi Okonkwo, a plan." It was going to be a long night. Please like, subscribe, because my mom says I can't reach 1,000 subscribers. Let's prove her wrong and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. Java House was crowded when I arrived at 2 p.m., filled with Lagos's elite having their expensive coffees and louder conversations. I spotted them immediately, 2 women sitting in the back corner, faces partly hidden by sunglasses despite being indoors. As I approached, they removed their glasses, and I recognized them both. Chidinma, my uncle's partner's wife, looked older than when I'd last seen her. Grief had carved lines around her mouth. The other woman was Marayo, married to one of my father's golfing partners. "Adiza, thank you for coming." Chidinma's voice was soft but steady. "We weren't sure you would. You said you were me 3 years ago. What did you mean?" Marayo gestured to the empty chair. "Sit first. This is going to take a while." I sat, my hands trembling slightly. A waiter brought me tea I hadn't ordered, and I realized they'd been waiting a while, planning this. 3 years ago, Chidinma began, my husband told me he wanted a divorce. Out of nowhere, or so I thought. We'd been married 15 years, had 3 children. I was blindsided. "I'm sorry, but what does this have to do with everything?" Moreo interrupted gently. "Because it wasn't out of nowhere. It was a coordinated plan involving our families. The same families you're dealing with now." My teacup rattled against the saucer as I set it down. Chidinma continued, "Your uncle introduced my husband to a younger woman, someone from a better family with political connections. They offered him what they're offering Chidi: business opportunities, social elevation, a fresh start with a woman who matched his new ambitions. The pattern is identical," Morayo added. "Create insecurity in the wife, make her feel inadequate, isolate her from support systems, then present the divorce as inevitable. By the time we realized what was happening, we'd already been positioned as the problem. How many, I whispered. How many women? In your family's social circle? At least 7 that we know of. Some fought back, some didn't. Chidinma and I decided to document everything. We started watching, listening, and gathering evidence. Chidinma pulled out her phone and showed me a photograph. A group of men at what looked like a private club, celebrating. I recognized my father, my uncle, Chidi, and several other men from family gatherings. This was taken 6 months ago at the Metropolitan Club. It's a special dinner they have quarterly. They call it the Upgrade Society. The what? The Upgrade Society. It's where established men in your parents' circle help younger, ambitious men upgrade their lives. That includes trading in their wives for more advantageous marriages. They present it as mentorship, networking. Really, it's systematic betrayal dressed up as business strategy. I felt sick. My father runs this? Your father founded it 10 years ago, after your mother convinced him to diversify their social investments, as she calls it. Think about it, Adazi. How many divorces have happened in your extended family in the past decade? How many men suddenly left long-term marriages for younger, better-connected women? I thought back. Uncle Tunde divorced Aunt Blessing. Cousin Amika left his wife Ngozi. My father's business partner left his wife of 20 years. I'd always assumed these were normal relationship breakdowns, midlife crises, incompatibility. It's a pattern, I said slowly. They're systematically dismantling marriages for profit. And they're very good at it, Morayo said. They use our own families against us. They make us complicit in our own destruction. Your mother convinced you that you needed to be better, didn't she? More sophisticated, more interesting? How did you know? Because my mother-in-law did the same thing. Slowly eroding my confidence, making me doubt myself, preparing the ground for my husband's departure. By the time he filed for divorce, even I half believed I deserved it. What stopped you? You said you survived. Chidinma's smile was sharp. We stopped playing their game. We hired investigators, documented everything, found the paper trails. My husband was funneling marital assets into offshore accounts. Morayo's husband was committing tax fraud with your father's help. We had evidence of everything. The financial crimes, the coordinated deception, the way they manipulated legal processes. And we destroyed them. Morayo's voice held no remorse. Not with violence, not with drama, but with truth. We went to the tax authorities, the financial regulators, the business ethics boards. We exposed everything. My husband lost his business license, Chidinma said. Morayo's husband is still fighting tax evasion charges. Several members of the Upgrade Society faced investigations. Your father managed to stay clean. He's careful. But 3 of his closest associates weren't so lucky. We cost them millions, Morayo added. Maybe tens of millions. But more importantly, we cost them their reputations. In Lagos society, that's worse than losing money. I processed this, my mind racing. You're telling me there's a whole network of women fighting back? 7 of us now. We call ourselves the Simmer Society, like your mother-in-law's advice about pepper soup. We let situations simmer, gather heat slowly until the truth comes out perfectly seasoned with consequences. That's why you contacted me. You want me to join you? We want to help you, Chidinma corrected. Whether you join us or not is your choice. But Adeze, you need to understand what you're up against. Chidi isn't acting alone. Your family isn't acting alone. This is organized, well-funded, and very experienced. They've done this dozens of times. They know how to make you look unstable, how to isolate you, how to take everything while making it seem legal. They've already started, I said quietly. My mother called yesterday, acting concerned about my hysteria. She's probably documenting every conversation, building a case that I'm emotionally unfit. Exactly, that's their playbook. But here's what they don't know. We've seen this playbook dozens of times now. We know their moves before they make them. Morayo slid a folder across the table. This is everything we have on Chidi's involvement with the Upgrade Society. Meeting notes, financial transactions, emails. He's been planning this for 18 months, not just 6. Your parents approach him, but he'd already been attending their meetings, learning their methods. I opened the folder with shaking hands. Inside were printed emails between Chidi and various men, discussing strategy like military generals planning an invasion. My life was their battlefield, my trust their weapon. One email from my father to Chidi made me gasp. Remember, the key is making her doubt herself first. A confident woman fights back. An insecure woman surrenders. Your job over the next 6 months is to systematically dismantle her self-esteem. The weight comments are working. Keep them up. Soon she'll believe she's lucky you stay with her at all. He wrote this a year ago, I whispered. A year ago, while I was celebrating our anniversary, planning our future, trying to get pregnant. They're sociopaths, Chidinma said bluntly. Functional, successful sociopaths who've turned marriage into a business transaction and human beings into assets to be managed or discarded. My phone buzzed. A message from Chidi's lawyer. Mrs. Okonkwo, we need to meet to discuss settlement terms. Your husband is willing to be generous if we can resolve this quietly. His assault charges will be dropped. His mother has agreed not to press charges, so there's no need for this to become adversarial. His mother agreed not to press charges? I showed them the message. She would never. They got to her, Moreo said grimly. Probably threatened her, offered her money, or convinced her that protecting her son was more important than justice. It's what they do. They find your pressure points and apply force until you break. Mama Nkechi wouldn't betray me like that. Chidinma put her hand over mine. Call her, right now. But use my phone, not yours. They're probably monitoring your communications. I dialed Mama Nkechi's number on Chidinma's phone. She answered after 6 rings, her voice strange and flat. Hello? Mama, it's me, Ada. Ada. She said my name like a prayer. Oh, my daughter, I'm so sorry. Sorry, Mama, what happened? The lawyer said you're dropping the charges. They came to the hospital, your father and 2 other men I didn't know. They said if I press charges against Chidi, they'll make sure I lose my pension, my house, everything. They said they'd spread rumors that I was mentally ill, that I'd attacked Chidi first, that I was trying to extort money from your family. My vision went red. They threatened you? More than threatened. They showed me documents. Somehow they'd gotten access to my bank records, my medical files, everything. They knew things about me only my doctor should know. They said they'd ruin me if I didn't sign papers saying the assault was a misunderstanding, that I provoked Chidi, that I didn't want to press charges. And you signed? I had to, Ada. I'm 68 years old with a broken jaw. I can't fight them. But I want you to know, I saved everything. I took pictures of those men at my bedside, recorded parts of our conversation on my phone. I signed their papers, but I also documented their threats. Because I know you, my daughter. I know you're going to fight, and when you do, I want you to have ammunition. Tears streamed down my face. Even battered and threatened, Mama Nkechi was still protecting me. Send everything to this number. I gave her Chidinma's contact. And Mama, I promise you, they're going to regret ever touching you. After hanging up, I looked at the 2 women across from me. I'm in. Whatever this simmer society is, whatever you're planning, I'm in. They exchanged glances and Chidinma nodded. Good, because we've been building a case against your father and the Upgrade Society for 6 months now. We were waiting for the right moment to strike. Your situation, with its assault component, the family betrayal, the clear documentation, might be exactly what we need. What are you planning? A coordinated exposure, Mariah explained. We're going to bring everything to light at once. The financial crimes, the systematic abuse, the network of men who think they can discard women like used cars. We're planning a press conference, simultaneous lawsuits, and we've been working with investigative journalists who are ready to publish exposés. When? Originally, 3 months from now, but your case accelerates the timeline. If you're willing, we could move within 2 weeks. What do you need from me? Chidinma pulled out a tablet and opened a detailed document. Everything. Bank statements, emails, texts, medical records, property documents, every piece of evidence you have. We need to connect Chidi's actions to the larger pattern. Show that this isn't isolated incidents but organized exploitation. I have most of that already. My lawyer's been compiling it. Your lawyer? Mario looked concerned. Who are you working with? Zainab Ibrahim. She helped me start my catering business. They exchanged relieved looks. Zainab's good. She's not part of our network, but she's solid. Just make sure you're using encrypted communications with her. These men have resources. How do I know I can trust you? I had to ask. How do I know this isn't another trap? Chidinma pulled up news articles on her tablet. Remember when the Adekunle group collapsed last year? Everyone thought it was market forces. It was us. We exposed their chairman's financial crimes, crimes connected to disposing of his wife and stealing her family's business. Or the Okafor scandal 3 months ago? That was us too. I remembered both incidents. Massive corporate implosions that had dominated news cycles, ruined reputations, sent people to prison. You did that? We exposed the truth. The consequences were their own doing, and Adeshis, we've been very careful. We're not vigilantes. Everything we do is legal, documented, and coordinated with proper authorities. We don't break laws, we reveal law-breaking. What happens after? After the exposure, after the lawsuits, what happens to our lives? Mariah's expression softened. That's the question we all asked. The truth? It's hard. Your family will likely cut you off. You'll lose friends, social standing, maybe business connections. People will take sides, and many will side against you because it's convenient or profitable. But, Chidinma added, you'll also be free. Free from lies, from manipulation, from loving people who don't love you back. You'll know who your real allies are, and you'll have us, women who understand exactly what you've been through. And practically? Practically, we win our cases more often than not. The evidence is usually overwhelming. You'll likely keep your house, your business, and get compensation. The criminal cases vary. Some men face charges, others just financial penalties. But none of them escape unscathed. I thought about Chidi's face yesterday, so cold and calculating. Thought about my mother's voice on the phone, choosing money over her own daughter. Thought about my father writing instructions on how to destroy my self-esteem. I want them to pay, I said. Not just Chidi, all of them. They will, Chidinma promised, but you need to prepare yourself. This isn't just about divorce or betrayal anymore. You're declaring war on some of Lagos's most powerful families. It's going to get dangerous. More dangerous than staying in a world where men can trade their wives like commodities and families betray their own daughters for profit? No, Mariah admitted. You're right. That's the real danger. Accepting their world as normal. We spent the next 3 hours going through everything. They showed me how to secure my documents, protect my communications, document everything without raising suspicion. They introduced me via encrypted video call to the other members of the Simmer Society, 5 women who'd survived similar betrayals and were now working together to expose the system. As I left Java House that evening, I felt different. Not broken anymore, not victimized. Angry, yes, but purposefully angry. The kind of anger that builds careful plans and executes them perfectly. My phone buzzed with a message from Chidi. Baby, we need to talk. I made mistakes, but we can fix this. Don't let your pride destroy what we have. I love you. I showed the message to Chidinma before I left. Classic, she said. Gaslighting, minimizing, love bombing. They always do this when they sense they're losing control. Don't respond. I won't. But as I drove home through Lagos traffic, I composed a response in my mind. Not to send, but to remind myself of who I was now. Dear Chidi, you don't love me. You love what I provided. Stability while you plan betrayal. Money to fund your schemes. Blind trust while you stole my future. But here's what you didn't plan for. I'm not the woman you thought you married. I'm the woman your mother raised when she taught me about patience and pepper soup. And like good pepper soup, I've been simmering. The flavor is almost perfect. You're going to taste it soon. Please like, subscribe, because my mom says I can't reach 1,000 subscribers. Let's prove her wrong and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in strategic warfare, disguised as a grieving wife's compliance. I played my role perfectly. I met with Chidi's lawyer and appeared defeated, negotiating settlement terms while secretly recording everything. I visited my mother and let her think I was considering reconciliation with the family, all while documenting her casual admissions of their schemes. I even met Kioma for coffee, at her smug insistence, and watched her gloat about stealing my life, my phone recording every word. "You understand, don't you, Adaze?" Kioma had said, stirring her cappuccino with manicured nails that probably cost more than Mama Nkechi's monthly pension. "It's nothing personal. You're just not equipped for the level Chidi's reaching now. Someone needed to step aside, and honestly, it's better for everyone if that someone is you." "Better for everyone," I'd repeated, keeping my voice small and hurt. "Exactly. See, you do understand. And your family agrees. Your mother said you'd come around eventually. You've always been the practical one, right? That's why my parents are willing to give you a generous settlement. 2 million naira, your catering business, and you get to keep your car. That's very fair. 2 million naira for 8 years of marriage, my house, and my dignity. They'd appraised my life and found it worth less than Kioma's engagement ring, a massive diamond she kept flashing at me. "Of course," I'd said meekly. "I just want this to be over quietly." She'd smiled then, satisfied, convinced of her victory. She didn't notice my phone recording from my purse, didn't catch the way I steered our conversation to confirm details the Simmer Society needed. But my best performance was with Chidi himself. 3 days after our confrontation, I'd called him, voice breaking, begging to meet. We met at a restaurant in Lekki, neutral territory where he felt safe, powerful. "I've been thinking," I'd said, playing with my water glass, not meeting his eyes. "Maybe you're right. Maybe I have been holding you back." His expression had shifted. Surprise, then calculation, then something like relief. "Baby, I'm so glad you're being reasonable about this. I'm trying. It's just, it hurts, you know? Finding out about Kioma, about the plans. But I understand. I'm not blind. She's younger, more connected. She can give you things I can't." "It's not about you being less than," he'd said, the lie rolling off his tongue easily. "It's about compatibility. We grew apart." "Did we? Or did you grow away from me deliberately?" He'd had the grace to look uncomfortable. "Does it matter now? What matters is moving forward cleanly. My lawyer said you're being cooperative about the settlement. I don't have a choice, do I? You and my family have made sure of that. Your family wants what's best for everyone. What's best for everyone, or what's best for their bank accounts?" He leaned forward, voice dropping. "Adiz, I'm going to be honest with you because we did have something real once. If you fight this, you'll lose. Your parents will testify against you. The Upgrade Society has lawyers who've done this dozens of times. You'll end up with nothing, publicly humiliated, probably declared mentally unstable. Is that what you want?" "No," I'd whispered. "I just want my life back." "You'll have a life, a new one. 2 million naira is enough to start over. Your catering business is yours. You're young enough to rebuild. And you get everything else? I get what I worked for. The house is mostly my investment. The other assets are tied to my business. You understand how these things work." I'd understood perfectly. He'd used my name to secure loans, my business to establish credit, my trust to hide his schemes. Now he wanted to walk away with everything while I got table scraps. "There's one thing I need," I'd said quietly. "What?" "The truth, just once. Did you ever love me? Any of it?" He'd been silent for a long moment. Then, "I loved who you were when we started. You were sweet, supportive, uncomplicated. But people change. You wanted more. A family, deeper connection, me to be someone I'm not. I needed someone who understood ambition, who could match where I'm going. That's not your fault, but it's not mine either." It was the closest to honesty he'd come, and it was still wrapped in lies. I'd loved him unconditionally, supported his dreams, asked nothing but loyalty in return. That wasn't wanting too much. That was basic human decency. "Okay," I'd said. "I'll sign the papers. Just give me 2 weeks to process everything, to say goodbye to the life we had." He'd agreed readily, probably relieved I wasn't fighting. 2 weeks, then we can both move forward. Moving forward, as if moving forward didn't mean trampling over everything we'd built, everyone who'd been hurt. But those 2 weeks weren't for processing grief. They were for the Simmer Society to finalize everything. During those weeks, I learned things that made my blood run cold. Chidinma's investigator uncovered that Chidi hadn't just been embezzling from my business. He'd been doing it for over 2 years, systematically draining funds while replacing them with loans in my name. I was liable for nearly 20 million naira in debt I didn't know existed. Marayo's contact at the tax authority revealed that my father's upgrade society had helped dozens of men hide assets during divorces, commit tax fraud, and engage in insider trading. The network was worth hundreds of millions. And Mama Nkechi's recordings of the men threatening her in the hospital? They connected directly to my father and two of his closest associates, proving conspiracy and witness intimidation. But the worst discovery came from a private investigator the Simmer Society had hired. Kioma was already 3 months pregnant. The timeline meant she'd gotten pregnant while Chidi and I were still actively trying for a baby, while he was still sleeping with me, still pretending we had a future. And my mother had known. She'd been at Kioma's first ultrasound appointment. "I can't do this," I'd told Chidinma on the phone the night I found out. "How can I face them? How can I sit across from my mother knowing she celebrated my cousin's pregnancy while I was crying over another failed cycle?" "Because you're stronger than they are," Chidinma had said firmly. "Because every moment of pain you feel now is fuel for what comes next. And Adaz, what comes next is going to be spectacular." The press conference was scheduled for Friday afternoon. 3 major newspapers, 2 television stations, and several online platforms would be there. The Simmer Society had spent months building relationships with journalists, feeding them information, helping them understand the scope of what we were exposing. This wasn't just about my divorce. This was about systematic exploitation of women, financial crimes, and a network of powerful men who thought they were untouchable. Thursday night, my phone rang. My father. "Adayes, your mother and I would like to have dinner with you tomorrow to discuss the future, mend fences. You've been distant lately." "Distant? Daddy, you helped plan the destruction of my marriage." That's harsh language for what was simply facilitating necessary changes. But that's in the past now. We're family. Family forgives. Family protects, I countered. Family doesn't sell daughters to the highest bidder. "You're being dramatic. Come to dinner. Let's talk reasonably." "What time?" 7 o'clock. "Your mother's cooking your favorite." Of course she was. One last manipulation, appealing to childhood nostalgia, acting as if pepper chicken and rice could erase betrayal. "I'll be there," I said. "Good. And Addis? Come alone. This is family only." I hung up and immediately called Chidinma. "They're making a move. Dinner tomorrow at 7. The press conference is at 3. They must have gotten wind of something. What do I do?" "Go, but wear a wire. We need to know what they're planning." Friday arrived with unusual calm. I dressed carefully. Not the broken wife, but not the warrior either. Something in between. Professional but soft, strong but approachable. The press conference location was a hotel ballroom in Victoria Island. By 2:30 p.m. I was there, standing backstage with the other women of the Simmer Society, preparing to tell our stories to the world. Chidinma gave a brief speech about patterns of abuse and exploitation. Marayo presented financial evidence, charts and graphs showing money trails and criminal activity. Another woman, Aduni, described how her husband had tried to have her committed to a psychiatric facility when she discovered his affair with her own sister. Then it was my turn. I walked onto that stage, faced the cameras and the journalists, and I told the truth. All of it. The affair with my cousin, the planned divorce, the embezzlement, the assault on Mama Nkechi, the upgrade society, my family's involvement, everything. I showed them documents, played recordings, presented evidence that would have made any prosecutor's heart sing. "This isn't just about me," I concluded. "This is about dozens of women who've been systematically betrayed, financially destroyed, and emotionally devastated by men who treat marriage as a business transaction and women as disposable assets. This is about families who prioritize profit over people, who sell their own daughters for social climbing. This ends today." The questions from journalists came fast and furious. Yes, I'd filed criminal complaints. Yes, I had more evidence. Yes, I was naming names. Yes, I understood this would destroy relationships and reputations. By 4 p.m., it was trending on every social media platform in Nigeria. By 5 p.m., the story had gone international. By 6 p.m., my phone had over 200 missed calls. At 6:45 p.m., I arrived at my parents' house in Banana Island, wearing the wire Chidinma had given me. My mother opened the door, her face a mask of rage. How could you? How could I? How could you? My father appeared behind her, and for the first time in my life, I saw him truly angry. Not disappointed, not stern, furious. You've destroyed this family, he said coldly. Do you understand what you've done? I exposed the truth. You've ruined everything we built. The contracts we'll lose, the partnerships dissolved, the investigations that will come. You've cost us hundreds of millions, maybe billions. Good. My mother grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. You stupid girl. We gave you everything. Education, opportunities, a good marriage. You sold me. We positioned you strategically. That's what parents do. And when that positioning was no longer optimal, we repositioned. That's business. That's evil, I said quietly. You treated your daughter like a stock to be traded. And you've betrayed your entire family, my father said. You think you've won? This press conference? These allegations? We'll fight every single one. We have lawyers, judges, politicians in our pockets. You'll spend the rest of your life in court, spending money you don't have, fighting battles you can't win. Maybe, but at least I'll spend it knowing I told the truth. Truth? My mother laughed bitterly. Truth is what powerful people say it is. And you've just made yourself the enemy of very powerful people. Is that a threat? It's a fact. You should have taken the settlement, kept your mouth shut, and moved on. Now? She shrugged. Now you've made yourself a target. And targets get destroyed. The Wire was getting all of this. Threats, admissions of corruption, everything. I'm leaving now, I said. I came to give you one last chance to admit what you did, to show remorse, to be actual parents. But I see that was foolish. Where will you go? My father asked. Who will help you? You have no family now, no friends in our circles. You're alone. I'm not alone. I have Mama Nkechi. I have the Simmer Society. I have truth and evidence and women who understand exactly what you are. Women, my mother sneered. You mean those bitter divorcees? They're using you, Adiz, using your pain for their agenda. Their agenda is justice. What's yours? Neither of them answered. As I walked out, my mother called after me. Don't come back. You're not our daughter anymore. We have no daughter. I turned back one last time. You're right, you have no daughter, because a daughter requires parents, and you're not those either. I left their house for the last time, got into my car and drove away from Banana Island, away from the life I'd known, towards something uncertain but true. Chidima called as I was driving. We got everything. Death threats, admission of corruption, everything. This is even better than we hoped. What happens now? Now we wait. The authorities have been watching this unfold. They'll move quickly now that it's public. And Adiz? Yes? You did it. You actually did it. You stood up to some of Lagos's most powerful families and you didn't blink. I thought about that as I drove through the evening traffic, about the woman I'd been 2 weeks ago, trying to please everyone, trying to be enough, about the woman I was now, alone maybe, but free. My phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. You're brave, braver than I was. Thank you for fighting, a grateful sister in silence. Then another. I left my husband tonight because of what you said. Thank you. And another. You saved my daughter's life. She was about to sign papers like yours. Now she's fighting. Thank you. They kept coming. Dozens of messages from women I didn't know, thanking me, sharing their own stories, offering support. I wasn't alone. I'd never been alone. I'd just been surrounded by the wrong people. Please like, subscribe, because my mom says I can't reach 1,000 subscribers. Let's prove her wrong and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. Chapter 5. 3 months later, I stood in a courtroom watching Chidi Okonkwo's world collapse with the precision of a controlled demolition. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes and no patience for nonsense, reviewed the evidence one final time before pronouncing judgment. 20 million naira in embezzlement, systematic fraud, assault, conspiracy to commit financial crimes. The charges had piled up like bricks building a prison wall. Mr. Okonkwo, she said, her voice cutting through the courtroom's tense silence. In my 30 years on this bench, I have rarely seen such calculated cruelty disguised as ambition. You didn't just betray your wife's trust, you exploited it systematically for personal gain. Chidi stood beside his lawyer, his expensive suit unable to hide the defeat in his shoulders. 3 months ago, he'd been untouchable, protected by connections and money. Now he looked like exactly what he was, a man who'd overplayed his hand and lost everything. I hereby award full ownership of the marital home to Mrs. Okonkwo, along with compensation of 45 million naira for emotional damages, embezzlement, and loss of consortium. Your construction business assets will be frozen pending criminal trial. And regarding the assault charges? She paused, looking directly at Chidi. 18 months in prison, suspended pending completion of community service, and a restraining order preventing contact with Mrs. Okonkwo or her mother-in-law, Mrs. Nkechi Okonkwo. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Okonkwo from my courtroom. As they led him away, Chidi looked at me once, not with anger, surprisingly, but with something like bewilderment. He still didn't understand how the woman he'd underestimated had become the one to destroy him. Outside the courtroom, Mama Nkechi, her jaw healed now, though she still bore a small scar, hugged me tightly. My daughter, I'm so proud of you. I learned from the best, Mama. You taught me about patience, remember? Let things simmer. She laughed, and it was good to hear joy in her voice again. And look how perfectly that pepper soup turned out. The Simmer Society had gathered to support me. Chidinma, Marayo, Aduni, and 4 others. We'd become more than allies. We'd become sisters forged in the fire of shared betrayal and collective resistance. One down, Marayo said with satisfaction. Who's next? Because Chidi's trial was just the beginning. The Upgrade Society had imploded spectacularly. My father and 3 other founding members were facing criminal charges for tax evasion, fraud, and conspiracy. The investigation had uncovered decades of financial crimes, offshore accounts, and systematic exploitation. My father had tried to flee to Dubai but was arrested at the airport. My mother was currently visiting family in London, which everyone knew meant hiding from investigators. Kioma had miscarried 2 weeks after the press conference. I felt bad about that, not for her, but for the innocent life lost to stress and scandal. She'd tried to pin it on me somehow, claiming my malicious lies had caused her trauma. But the press wasn't buying it. When recordings emerged of her laughing about stealing my life, public sympathy vanished. She'd lost her banking job, lost her engagement to Chidi, lost her reputation. She was currently living with her parents, who'd been forced to resign from several boards due to the scandal. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt tired, vindicated, yes, but exhausted by how much destruction had been necessary to reach truth. Come, Chidima said, linking her arm through mine. We're taking you to lunch. No talk about courts or criminals, just good food and better company. We went to a small restaurant in Surulere, ironically near where Mama Nkechi lived. No fancy Banana Island spot, no expensive Victoria Island bistro. Just honest food and honest people. Over plates of pounded yam and a goosey soup, Aduni raised her glass. A toast to Adais whose courage sparked a movement, to all the women finding strength to fight back, and to the Simmer Society. May we always remember that the best revenge is served perfectly seasoned. We clinked glasses, and for the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. My phone buzzed. A message from my lawyer, Zainab. The business audit is complete. After Chidi's embezzlement is accounted for, your catering company is valued at 18 million naira free and clear. You have a viable business a days. You're going to be okay. 18 million naira. My business was worth more than I'd thought, even after Chidi's theft. I'd built something real, something that survived his betrayal. Another message came through, this one from a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Okonkwo, my name is Blessing. You don't know me, but you saved my marriage. After your press conference, my husband confessed he'd been approached by the Upgrade Society. He'd been considering it, but seeing what happened to you made him realize what he'd lose. He chose us instead. Thank you for your courage. Then another. I'm a lawyer in Abuja. Because of your case, 3 of my clients have come forward about similar situations. We're building cases now. Thank you for showing us this pattern exists. And another. I teach women's studies at the University of Lagos. Your case is now part of our curriculum. Future generations will learn about the Upgrade Society and the women who brought it down. You're making history. I showed the messages to the group, and Chidinma smiled. This is why we fight, not just for ourselves, but for every woman who comes after us. What happens next for you? Mariah asked me. Now that the trial's over, now that you have your life back? I thought about that. What did happen next? I'm expanding my catering business, I said slowly, the idea forming as I spoke, but differently. I want to hire women leaving abusive situations, train them, pay them fairly, give them a foundation to rebuild on. Call it Second Simmer Catering. Mama Nkichi beamed. Perfect, and I'll help train them. My pepper soup recipe will be your signature dish. I'm also working with journalists on a book, I continued, about the Upgrade Society, about systematic exploitation of women, about how power works in Lagos's elite circles. People need to know these patterns exist. That's dangerous, Aduni warned. You're already a target. Going public with more details? I know, but staying silent is more dangerous. Silence is what let this happen in the first place. We finished lunch and parted ways, but not before planning our next meeting. The Simmer Society gathered monthly now, supporting each other, strategizing against ongoing threats, celebrating victories. As I drove home, to my home, fully mine now, no longer tainted by Chidi's presence, I thought about the woman I'd been on Thanksgiving, how desperately I'd tried to please everyone, to be the perfect wife, daughter, woman, how I'd measured my worth by others' approval. That woman was gone. In her place was someone harder, yes, but also truer. Someone who'd learned that people-pleasing is just another form of self-betrayal. Someone who understood that the most important relationship you can have is with your own integrity. I pulled into my driveway and saw someone sitting on my porch. My heart jumped. Was it Chidi? Had he violated the restraining order? But as I got closer, I recognized her. A young woman, maybe 25, with terrified eyes and a bruised cheek. Mrs. Okonkwo? She whispered as I approached. My name is Funmi. I saw you on TV. I need help. My husband, he's planning something. I found papers, messages. I think he's part of something like what you exposed. I don't know where else to go. I looked at this young woman, myself 3 months ago, scared and alone, and I knew what I had to do. Come inside, I said, unlocking my door. Tell me everything, and then we're going to call some people. You're not alone anymore, Funmi. None of us are. As she followed me inside, already crying with relief, I pulled out my phone and texted the Simmer Society group chat. New member incoming. Prepare the recipe book. Chidima responded immediately. Location? My house. I'm making pepper soup. We're on our way. I set my phone down and looked at Funmi, who was clutching a folder of evidence like a life raft. What happens now? She asked, her voice small. Now? I smiled, thinking of Mama Nkechi's words, thinking of every woman who'd fought before me and every woman who'd fight after. Now we let it simmer, and when it's ready, when the flavor is perfect, we serve it up hot. These men think they can keep doing this? They're about to learn they can't. Will it work? Will we win? We already won, Funmi. The moment you decided to fight back, you won. Everything else is just details. As I moved around my kitchen, in my house, in my life, preparing the pepper soup that Mama Nkichi had taught me to make, I thought about revenge and justice and the thin line between them. Revenge is hot and immediate, consumed by rage. Justice is patient, strategic, perfectly seasoned. Revenge destroys indiscriminately. Justice holds people accountable while creating paths forward. I'd learned the difference these past 3 months. Learned it in courtrooms and strategy sessions, in late-night phone calls with other survivors, in the slow rebuilding of a life I thought was destroyed. My phone buzzed one more time. A message from an unknown international number. Adiz, it's your mother. I've been following the news. Your father wants to make a deal. He'll provide information about other men in the society in exchange for a reduced sentence. He wants to know if you'll testify in his favor. I stared at the message for a long moment. 3 months ago, some part of me might have felt torn, conflicted about my father facing consequences. Now? Now I felt only clarity. I typed back, "Tell him to make his deal with prosecutors, not his daughter. I'm done being used by this family." But mother, if you're asking what I think you're asking, if you want a way back, if you want forgiveness, start by telling the truth. All of it. Testify against him, against the society, against everyone involved. Choose your daughter over your lifestyle for once in your life. Then we'll talk. I hit send and immediately blocked the number. The doorbell rang, the Simmer Society arriving, ready to help another woman find her strength, ready to add another name to our growing network of survivors turned warriors. As I opened the door to greet them, as Funmi's scared face transformed into hope seeing all these strong women filing into my living room, as Mama Nkechi bustled in with bags of ingredients ready to teach another daughter her secrets, I realized something. This was what winning looked like. Not the courtroom victory, not the money, not even the justice, though those mattered. Winning was this: building something better from the ruins of what was destroyed, creating safety where there was danger, forming family where blood relations failed. "Okay," I said to the room full of women, my chosen family, my sisters in survival, my tribe. "Let's make some pepper soup. We have work to do." And as we cooked together, as Funmi slowly relaxed enough to laugh at one of Aduni's jokes, as Mama Nkechi showed her the right ratio of spices to create that perfect slow burn, I knew this was just the beginning. The upgrade society might be collapsing, but systems don't die easily. There would be other men, other schemes, other women who needed help. But now we had a playbook. Now we had a network. Now we had proof that resistance wasn't just possible, it was powerful. Let them come. Let them try their manipulations and their schemes. We'd be ready, because we'd learned the most important lesson. The best way to destroy a corrupt system isn't to become like them, isn't to match cruelty with cruelty. It's to build something better in its place, something based on truth, sisterhood, and the understanding that we are worth more, so much more than we've been taught to believe. The pepper soup simmered on my stove, filling my home with its rich, complex aroma. Perfect. Not rushed, not forced, but allowed to develop its flavor slowly, patiently, with care. Just like justice, just like healing, just like us. Please like, subscribe, because my mom says I can't reach 1,000 subscribers. Let's prove her wrong and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. Dedicated to every woman who's ever been told to stay quiet, stay small, stay grateful for scraps. Your story matters, your voice matters, you matter, and you are never, ever alone.